And welcome back to Sports Today. So we normally start the day early on with a nice update from, of course, that will sum up all of the happenings from the world of sport. Unfortunately, we had to join you a little before that because there was, of course, a breaking news update regarding which we will be covering again in this video. But suffice to say, there's been plenty of things happening in the world of sport, whilst you, me, and many others were catching up on some all-important sleep. But this world of sport, we know for a fact, never really sleeps. So there's, as I said, plenty of things that have been happening. Let's just get down straight to it and start talking about all of the interesting things that have been taking place in the world of sport. And we're starting with, of course, the fact that 5 Indian cricketers were basically honored by getting awarded lifetime membership of the MCC, or the Marylebone Cricket Club. Those 5 cricketers are, of course, MS Dhoni, Suresh Raina, Yuvraj Singh, as well as 2 women cricketers in Mithali Raj and Jhulan Goswami. Now, the full list of players is about 17 odd players that have been given this honorary MCC membership. But it is nice to see the fact that there are 5 Indians, including, of course, the likes of Dhoni, Yuvraj, Raina, all of whom played a very key part in India winning the 2011 ICC ODI World Cup. And, of course, in the fact that you honored the likes of Mithali Raj and Jhulan Goswami also shows that, well, there is plenty of recognition coming through for women's cricketers or legendary women's cricketers as well from the MCC. It's heartening to see, and long may it continue. Sticking to, of course, cricket news and alluding to the breaking news update that I had referred to earlier, we've done a separate video on it, but it does bear repeating that Kane Williamson is likely to miss the ICC World Cup later on this year due to, of course, having to undergo corrective surgery on his anterior cruciate ligament. You remember he picked up that injury during the opening IPL game this season. He was ruled out of the IPL. He's flown back home to New Zealand. He will be undergoing surgery, and the estimated recovery time from that surgery is about 6 months, which means that unless something really miraculous happens, he's not going to be playing any part in the World Cup that is going to be taking place later this year. Another interesting update from the world of cricket, the England and Wales Cricket Board rather, is looking to restructure their central contracts, because you know that normally central contracts are given out on an annual basis, and England is normally one of the more richer cricket boards, so they've really had no issues with sticking to the way they keep their let's say central contracts and the way they structure it, the way it's handed out. But there was a bit of a wake-up call for them during the series that recently took place in Bangladesh, which was, of course, ahead of the IPL. The wake-up call came in the fact that a lot of English players, many of whom weren't centrally contracted, chose instead to reject a call-up to the English team and play against Bangladesh and stick to their Pakistan Super League franchises instead, because the PSR franchises were paying them a lot more money for guaranteed playtime. A lot of these players would most likely have had to go fly to Bangladesh, maybe not get game time, and they chose instead to take the let's say the more lucrative option in terms of finances. So the ECB has also realized that there might just be a threat to their talent pool from T20 leagues, so they're trying to restructure how it is that their contracts work. Another key factor in that is, of course, the rise of someone like Harry Brook, who, despite only breaking out just before the T20 World Cup last year, has now suddenly established himself as a player across formats. But it is worth noting that because he's a newer player relatively, he's making far less money from his ECB central contract than he does from his contract that he has for 2 months with the Sunrisers Hyderabad. So that in itself has woken up the ECB to the crisis, or the existential crisis that franchise cricket may very well have in the international sport. That is why they're choosing to restructure their contracts. Switching our focus now from the world of cricket to the world of football, it was a big El Clasico night, and shockingly it was Real Madrid who ran out 4-0 winners. This was courtesy of course, another hat-trick from Karim Benzema, who's now made it back-to-back hat-tricks in as many games. And it was a shocking result, to say the least, not least because of the fact that Real Madrid winning by this margin was not expected. Most people thought there would be a tightly contested game, but Barca having a 1-0 lead going into the second leg of this Copa del Rey semi-final were expected to be the favourites to, let's say, secure their safe passage through to the finals. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. They capitulated, lost 4-0. Benzema, of course, the wrecker-in-chief, but Barcelona were average on the night, and it is now Real Madrid who will be taking on Osasuna in the final of the Copa del Rey. Could very well be ending the season with at least one trophy, if not more. Continuing on from the world of football and the crisis at around Chelsea that has engulfed them ever since they chose to sack manager Graham Potter. Well, it seems to be reaching new levels, and it's taken on a rather interesting turn because there are now credible media reports in Europe that state that they have approached former midfielder and manager Frank Lampard to take charge of the club till the end of the season. So the thought process is that Lampard will be appointed on a purely interim basis as they continue looking out for other options. Now, other names who have been linked to the job are, of course, Luis Enrique, the former Spain and Barcelona manager, as well as Julian Nagelsmann, who up until recently was managing Bayern Munich and who was sacked for, ironically of all people, former Chelsea manager Thomas Tuchel. So plenty of movement there, and it's a decision that does have many baffled, but hey, that's just the way Chelsea do things nowadays. Meanwhile, in another bit of rather somber football news, Romelu Lukaku, who ended up scoring an equalizing goal for Inter Milan during the Coppa Italia game against Juventus, ended up on the end of racist abuse from the Juventus fans. Now, racism and Italian football has a long and sordid history, but it has suddenly ended up becoming a lot worse over recent years. Of course, Juventus put out statements saying that they will be investigating. Inter Milan said they stand by their player. Whether or not anything happens, though, remains to be seen. And to make things worse for Lukaku, he was actually sent off for a provocative celebration, despite the fact that he was the victim of racist abuse. I don't understand that, but hey, whatever works for them, I guess. Switching our focus now back to sports beyond the realm of cricket or football, and we have some badminton news, but not very good ones, or rather good and bad. Start with the bad. Saina Nehwal is out of the Orleans Masters after losing her opening round match by straight game. So not really a good time for Saina. She wasn't exactly at her best, and she was playing with a heavily strapped right knee. So that might explain why it is that she was, in fact, struggling that bad, lost in straight games. The good news from this very tournament is that some rising Indian badminton stars, that is Mithun Manjunath, Priyanshu Rawat, Akarshi Kashyap and Tanya Hemant all made it through to the second round of this very same tournament, the Orleans Masters. Considering the fact that many are lamenting the fact that, the the talent pool in Indian badminton is a little dry right now. Yes, you do have some younger players, but they're not still quite at the same level as the likes of a Saina or even a Sindhu. There is, of course, a chance that, you would be running out of players. And the fact that you have some young players stepping up in a tournament like this is good news and hopefully bodes well for Indian badminton in the not-so-distant future. So that's it from us in this particular edition of the Morning Wrap. Thank you guys very much for joining in. Again, if you enjoy our work over here at Sports Today, please don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and last but not least, please don't forget to download the AajTak app as well. Plus, if you're already on the channel, you can go right ahead and check out some other videos that we've uploaded, and don't forget to stay tuned to Sports Today as we bring you all of the latest happenings from the world of sports and even the IPL. Mega match today, it's Kolkata Knight Riders versus RCB, so join us for that build-up later on in the day. Stay tuned to the channel, we'll be bringing you a lot of things from the world of sport, but for now though, from my side, goodbye.